Yo, what's up? I just wanted to make a video like this because I realized I haven't actually made a video about my journey that wasn't like resources. Um, because I was like directing someone. I'm like, why don't you go watch my video about it? They want to know how I learned, and I realized it didn't exist, so I'm making it right now. And antes de empezar, si quiere ponerme a prueba, dale. Estoy dispuesto a hacer videos. Me encanta hacer entrevistas en YouTube con otras personas. Me puedes enviar un mensaje y hagámoslo. Anyways, what was I gonna say? So I just want to kind of talk about fluency first of all. Like I want to define fluency, and before I even define fluency, I'm gonna tell you that I don't consider myself fluent. I think anybody else that I talk to considers me fluent. People tell me I'm fluent all the time, and I say, okay, that's your opinion, and that's fine. I have some ideas about what fluency is, but I also want to say it doesn't matter. Like, I don't care if I'm fluent or not. I don't care if you think I'm fluent or not. But I do want to talk about what fluency is to me. Some YouTubers claiming that they're fluent, why I don't think a lot of people are fluent. And then I'll get into my journey. So, first of all, I just want to say if there are parts of a language that you can't handle well, you're not fluent, in my opinion. Like there's nothing in English that I cannot say. Like there's not a single thing in English that I can't say. It's my native language. I'm educated. There's no idea that I can't express or that I will have serious trouble expressing. Like I'm not gonna be like, if I were you, I wouldn't do that. But like not be able to say it. Like, hold on, I'm trying to say I wouldn't want to do that. It just wouldn't happen. I would never have to think for more than like 2 seconds to say something, as complex as it might be, right? And so if you have trouble like that, like for instance with the subjunctive, if you struggle with the subjunctive, to me you're not fluent. Like it's a huge part of the Spanish language, and if you're struggling with it, you're at a beginner or an intermediate stage. Like slipping on words or something like that, saying the wrong thing and correcting it, to me, it's not the same thing. We do that all the time, even in our native languages. But if you just are struggling with the concept of it, or you're like saying the wrong thing, like if you say para qué and then you say something like comes, you're not fluent, bro. I'm sorry to tell you, you're not fluent. Almost every video that I've seen on YouTube where someone's like, how I got fluent in Spanish, how I got fluent in Spanish, this is how I got fluent in Spanish. I watch the videos and I'm like, bro, like you speak like a 10-year old, which is fine. Like we're learning. That's cool, but like why say you're fluent? Like to me it's an attention grab for I don't know, maybe they know that people are gonna criticize them, but like all publicity is good publicity or something like that. But like there's rarely times that I see people and I'm just like, oh yeah, you're fluent like you say. Like I said, fluency is to me it's like really being able to handle yourself in any situation and speak correctly, right? And so I use Spanish on a daily basis. My barber speaks to me in Spanish. My wife's parents speak to me in Spanish. I have clients that I deal with only in Spanish. It's a normal part of my life. I don't think in English when I'm speaking Spanish. Like I'm literally just having a conversation like I'm doing right now. But the way I automatically speak in English, I don't ever have to think about anything because I'm well educated, because I've been speaking for so long. I never have to really hesitate when I talk, like even if I'm thinking deeply. Whereas like I've only been speaking Spanish for a few years. So when things get extremely deep, I do have to pause. It's not like I'm thinking in English and translating it. It's just like, hold on, I've never actually said this sentence before. So like I feel like I've said like every combination of words in English where I have not done that in Spanish. I can express new ideas in English, but it's not so different than something that I've said before. Like I've just touched so many topics in 30 years where I only have a few years of speaking Spanish. So, like I said, everyone I talk to says that I'm fluent in Spanish. And I say, that's fine, that's your opinion. My opinion is that I'm not. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I have conversations in Spanish. People understand me. I understand them. There's no trouble at all. We have deep conversations, whatever, whatever. That's the end of that. Just be careful with these YouTubers. They lie a lot. I don't know if it's on purpose or not, but they do. They They got a lot of tricks. If your favorite YouTuber never does lives with other people, like I do interviews with people all the time, not just on my end. If people want to interview me, I will say, sure, let's do it. I don't care if I make mistakes, bro. I will let them record it so the editing is not on me. If they edit it, it's on them. But I am perfectly fine with getting on a live stream, doing any kind of interview about any topic. I don't care if I struggle through the whole interview. I want people to know my actual level of Spanish. And if it's not what they thought it was, I don't care, bro. But when these people have no interviews, bro, you have no idea how many takes they did on their video. Even if it's like a fluid video, they could have recorded it 500 times, bro. They could edit it so it doesn't look chopped up. There's just a lot of stuff that they could be doing. So just be aware. Anyways, I'm going to put a timestamp in here for anyone that wants to skip this part and get straight into the story that I've never really told before. I made a video like a year ago with a bunch of resources. If you want that video, then I'll put a link in the bio or something like that. But I'm going to just talk about where I started at and how I got to where I'm at right now. So let's go to the very beginning. I did grow up in Texas. I grew up around Puerto Ricans. I grew up around Mexicans. Pretty normal stuff in Texas, right? I took Spanish class. I actually went to Spanish 3, but I was cheating. Like I was cheating in class. I had a very good grasp of vocabulary. And so if I was reading something, like I could tell you what it said, especially because there's so many cognates and stuff like that, right? But when I got to Spanish 3, I had a very, I'm not going to call her mean, but I had a very serious Colombian teacher. And it was a history class in Spanish, right? And I couldn't put sentences together, bro, and I just quit. And I was like, I'm out of here, bro. I'm not doing this. Like, Spanish 1 and 2 was like learning vocab and like present tense conjugations. And then Spanish 3 was like straight up, we're just speaking Spanish and doing a history class. And it was too much for me. I was overwhelmed. I quit. Dropped out. And since then, that was probably 2009, bro? From then until 2020, I was on Duolingo, random websites and stuff. Like, I mean, like for years, bro. I would have like these spurts of like 3 months where I'm like, I'm about to get serious, bro. I'm dead serious on Duolingo, and I would do it. I would have like a 180-day streak or something like that. And then I would hear someone speak Spanish, and I'd be like, I don't know what they said, bro. I'm done. I'm out of here, bro. And I would just quit again. And this process would repeat. Every time I would feel confident, I would hear someone speak, and I'd be like, I have no idea what they said. Like, what is the point of doing this Duolingo or whatever applications I was using? Because I use a lot of different applications over time. And so, fast forward, because everything in between, I think, doesn't really matter. Close to the time that the pandemic happened, I had a client named Valeria that was straight from Mexico that spoke no English. And I had to train her. And bro, I was like trying to use a little Spanish that I knew, which she was like, you know, semi-impressed with. She was like, oh wow, you know some words. Looking back on it, I didn't know anything. But I was like sick of like trying to use Google Translate when I didn't know something and like getting like the gist of what she was saying. I'm like, what does that word mean? Like, what does this mean? And so I was like, bro, I'm so serious. Like, I'm going to learn. And so what I was noticing was when I would talk to her, I would pick up stuff. Like, I would demonstrate the exercise and I'll be like, ¿cómo se dice esto? And, you know, she would say, oh, las sentadillas. And I would never forget, bro, because I did the motion and then she told me. And so anything that we did, and I'll ask her how to say it, like once we struggled through like figuring out what I was talking about and she would tell me how to say it, it was like I would never forget, bro. If it was something that I knew, like a movement or a machine or something like that. And I'm like, yo, like, what have I been doing? And why does it not work? And why does this work? So that's when I started like hunting for, at the time I didn't know it was called acquiring a language, right? But I started hunting for like what I was doing. Why was that working? Why was someone just telling me working in Duolingo and all these apps didn't work? And so things were going well, but then everything shut down, right? So I was back to like trying apps and stuff, and it wasn't really working out. And I have a friend in Colombia. If you guys follow me, you've seen him on my channel, Wilmer. He is a weightlifter, or was a weightlifter in Colombia. He speaks decent English, but obviously he's way more comfortable speaking Spanish because he's from Colombia. And so when we used to message each other, it was like a little Spanglish mix. But when things would get complicated on either side, we wouldn't really understand each other. If I start saying crazy stuff in English, he's kind of like, I don't know what that is. Same thing with Spanish. So one day, because things were rough in Colombia during the pandemic, I was like, hey, bro, like, what if I paid you and you just talk to me on Skype? Of course. It's an excellent idea. He gets to work, he gets to earn money, and he gets to help me, right? And so we started doing that like 4 or 5 days a week, just for like an hour. We dropped back down to the basics, because even though I was like doing okay, like especially by like YouTube standards or like random people standards, they'll say like, oh wow, like you're pronouncing words good, you don't sound American. Looking back on it, my accent wasn't great, but everyone told me it was, so I believed it. But he was like, do you want to just learn, or do you want to sound native? I'm like, I want to sound native, bro, of course. And he's like, we need to start back over. Like, you don't know how to pronounce the vowels. Like, and if you're pronouncing them wrong, you won't know it until you pronounce it right. Like, a lot of Americans, at least anyway, it's a little bit different for people in the UK, but a lot of Americans, they never actually, like, for the letter I, they never actually say, like, E. They still say, like, the American I, like, eh. And so you think you're doing a good job pronouncing stuff, but you're not. And it's okay. Like, whatever. It's part of the process. But we started back over. I went through the vowels again. Went through the consonants again. We made sure I like really knew the alphabet by heart. Like, we really started back over from scratch. And it was tough and like a kind of a shot to the ego, but I really appreciated it. And we just worked our way back up. We started like, I would like walk around on FaceTime and like hold up pots, like hold up whatever's in the house, and he would tell me what it was, and he would quiz me and stuff like that, and slowly we bumped up the level of conversation to where we were having conversations about intangible things. And I think that's part of the problem with the applications. They start you off with intangible things, but it's like talking to like a 3-year-old about a concept. They don't know concepts, bro. They just know this is a pot. This is a cup. When you get older, when you start understanding more, then you can talk about intangible stuff. So as my level rose, the level of conversation went up. And yeah, that's it. That's where I am now. Like, whenever I can, I talk to people in Spanish. If I hear someone speaking Spanish, I'll talk to them. My barber, he's from Puerto Rico. He came here like 10 plus years ago, and he's fully bilingual at this point. But even still, when I met him, I spoke to him in Spanish. And I told him, like, bro, don't even speak to me in English. Only speak to me in Spanish. And he's like, you sure? Like, you can handle that? I'm like, I don't know, but let's do it. You know what I mean? And so I get out of my comfort zone when I can, and it's served me well up to this point. So I really just want to give y'all the story of how I got to this point, without like making it super educational. It's just straight up a story. I'm gonna put that in the description and stuff, just so no one's like, I just watched 20 minutes and you didn't even tell me, like, blah blah. Like, bro, I already made a video with resources and like timetables and stuff like that. I will direct you to that video if you want to see it. This is just literally a story, bro. A story about my life. If my wife watches this, she's gonna get mad because she's gonna be like, I didn't inspire you to learn Spanish. She did. But like, the client came first. And then I was like, yo, if I learn, I'll be able to talk to my wife's parents because they speak English. But again, when someone speaks 2 languages, most of the time they're more comfortable speaking their first language, especially if their second language is not on a level where their first language is. Like, even now, My Spanish is good enough to where I can communicate anything I want to. But of course, this takes no effort from me. Right now, I'm just speaking. I'm not even thinking, bro. I don't even know what I'm saying. So it's not, there's almost no consciousness to this. So yeah, I'm gonna be more comfortable having a conversation in English than I would be in Spanish. Not to say that I'll be uncomfortable in Spanish, but I've been doing this for 30 years, bro. So I don't have to think about it. So, anyways, I think I covered everything. But if I didn't, just make a part two. Just let me know what y'all want to know, or I'll respond to your comments. I feel like this is gonna be a viewed video just because of how I'm gonna title it. I hope nobody feels like it's clickbait, but I feel like I'm as fluent as these YouTubers that say they're fluent. So, anyways, thanks for watching and listening to my story. Like I said, you can ask anything you want, and I'll respond to it. I love helping you guys. I'll probably make some more videos tonight. It's gonna be dark though. I need to get out the ring light and stuff. So, thanks for watching. I'm hungry. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.